Hello there, fellow coin enthusiasts and collectors. Welcome back to the channel World Rare Coins, where we dive deep into the world of rare and valuable coins that could be worth a small fortune. From hidden gems that could be worth a fortune to little-known coins with a rich history, we'll explore it all. And if you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of our exciting discoveries. And now grab your magnifying glasses and let's start our today's video. On top one today, we have something truly exciting for you. We're diving into the world of US coins to uncover the hidden value of a seemingly ordinary penny, the 1980 United States 1-cent coin. Could this tiny piece of copper be worth a fortune? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin has become a hot item among collectors and how much it could be worth today. Let's start with a little history. The 1980 US penny was minted during an era of economic change. Inflation was on the rise, and the cost of producing pennies was steadily increasing. This coin, like others from the era, was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, just before the transition to a cheaper zinc-based composition in 1982. Because of this, 1980 pennies still have that rich copper tone that collectors love. Now, let's take a look at the design. On the obverse side, we have the familiar face of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been in use since 1909. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, this portrait has remained a staple of U.S. currency for over a century. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll find the date, 1980, and a small mint mark if it was struck at the Denver, D, or San Francisco, S, mints. If there's no mint mark, then it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday, remained in circulation until 2008. If you look closely, you can even spot a tiny engraving of the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a small but impressive detail that showcases the artistry of U.S. coinage. Now, you may be wondering, what makes the 1980 penny so special? The answer lies in its rarity and condition. While millions of these pennies were minted, only a handful have survived in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. Coins that have never been used in everyday transactions and show no signs of wear are considered the most valuable. Even the smallest scratches or discoloration can lower a coin's worth, so collectors are always on the hunt for pristine examples. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Some 1980 pennies contain minting errors that make them extremely rare. These errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, or even planchet mistakes where the coin was struck on the wrong metal. If you happen to have one of these rare error coins, its value can skyrocket. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you own a flawless, uncirculated 1980 US penny, or even better, one with a rare minting error, it could be worth $65,000. That's right, a single penny could be a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you come across an old penny, take a closer look. You might just be holding a hidden treasure in your hands. On top two, we're diving deep into the world of US coins to uncover the hidden secrets of a penny that could be worth far more than just 1 cent. That's right, we're talking about the 1981 United States 1-cent coin. This tiny piece of copper might be sitting unnoticed in your collection, pocket, or even a jar of spare change. But what if I told you that some of these coins could be worth an incredible amount of money? Stay with us until the end, because you won't believe just how valuable this penny can be. First, let's take a step back in time to 1981. The early 80s was a transitional period for U.S. coinage. Inflation was rising, and the cost of producing pennies was becoming a concern for the U.S. Mint. At this time, pennies were still made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but big changes were coming. Just 1 year later, in 1982, the composition of the penny would shift to a copper-plated zinc core to reduce production costs. That means the 1981 penny was one of the last of its kind, a true relic from an era when copper coins still had weight and substance. Now, let's talk about the design of this fascinating coin. On the front, or obverse, we see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has remained unchanged since 1909. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll find the date, 1981, along with a small mint mark if the coin was struck at the Denver, D, or San Francisco, S, mints. If there's no mint mark, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the famous Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in use since 1959. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a small detail that adds depth to this well-known design. The words "E pluribus unum" arch over the top, reminding us of the nation's unity. So, what makes the 1981 penny so special? The answer lies in its condition and rarity. While millions of these pennies were minted, only a select few have survived in perfect, uncirculated condition. Coins that have never been used in everyday transactions and show no signs of wear the most valuable. Even the tiniest scratches, discoloration, or imperfections can decrease their worth. That's why collectors are always searching for flawless examples. But here's where things get even more exciting. Some 1981 pennies contain rare minting errors that make them incredibly valuable. These errors can include double die strikes, off-center prints, or even coins struck on the wrong metal planchet. If you happen to have one of these error pennies, its value could be far beyond what you'd ever expect. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you own a perfectly preserved, uncirculated 1981 US penny, or better yet, one with a rare and unusual minting error, it could be worth $63,000. That's right, a simple penny could turn into an unbelievable fortune. So, the next time you check your coin jar or collection, take a closer look. You might just be holding a small but valuable piece of history. On top 3, we're diving into one of the most fascinating pennies in U.S. history, the 1982 United States 1-cent coin. This little coin might look ordinary at first glance, but it holds secrets that could make it worth a fortune. In fact, some rare versions of this penny have sold for jaw-dropping amounts. Stick around until the end, because you won't believe just how valuable this coin can be. To understand why the 1982 penny is so special, we need to go back in time. The early 1980s were a turning point for U.S. coinage. The cost of copper was rising, and the U.S. Mint had a big problem. The penny was becoming too expensive to produce. So, in 1982, they made a major change. Instead of using 95% copper, they switched to a cheaper composition, 97.5% zinc with just a thin copper coating. But here's where things get interesting. The transition didn't happen overnight. Throughout 1982, both copper and zinc pennies were minted, creating multiple varieties of the same coin. Some pennies were heavier, made of solid copper, while others were lighter, made of zinc. And to make things even more complex, the mint used 2 different font styles for the date, large date and small date. This means that there are several different versions of the 1982 penny, and some are far rarer than others. Now, let's take a closer look at the design. On the obverse side, we have the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll find the date, 1982, along with a small mint mark if the coin was struck in Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. If there's no mint mark, it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the famous Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in circulation since 1959. If you look closely, you'll notice a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, a small but impressive detail that makes this design unique. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1982 penny so valuable. The key is in the details. Collectors are always searching for rare variations, and some 1982 pennies are much harder to find than others. One of the most sought-after varieties is the 1982 D small date copper penny. Only a few of these have ever been found, making them extremely rare. Another factor that can make a 1982 penny valuable is its condition. Coins that have never been used in everyday transactions, known as uncirculated coins, are worth far more than worn-out pennies. Even the slightest scratches or imperfections can affect the value. So collectors are always searching for flawless examples. And here's where things get really exciting. Some 1982 pennies have rare minting errors that make them even more valuable. These can include double die errors, off-center strikes, or even pennies struck on the wrong type of metal. If you happen to have one of these error coins, its value could be staggering now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you own a rare and well-preserved 1982 US penny, especially one with a rare error or a sought-after variety, it could be worth $60,000. That's right, this tiny coin, which most people overlook, could be a life-changing treasure. So, The next time you go through your old coin jar or collection, take a closer look at your 1982 pennies. You might just be holding a small but valuable piece of history. On top 4, we're diving into the fascinating world of U.S. pennies to uncover the hidden secrets of the 1983 United States 1-cent coin. Most people wouldn't think twice about a penny from the 80s. But what if I told you that some of these coins are worth a fortune? That's right. This little piece of pocket change could be worth far more than 1 cent. Stick around until the end, because you won't believe how much certain 1983 pennies have sold for. Let's take a step back in time. By 1983, the U.S. Mint had fully transitioned away from the traditional copper penny. Just a year earlier, in 1982, the composition of the penny had changed from 95% copper to a much lighter zinc core with a thin copper coating. This change was made to cut production costs, as copper had become too expensive. So, every 1983 penny you come across is actually made mostly of zinc, unlike older pennies that were nearly solid copper. But here's where things get really interesting. Some rare 1983 pennies defy the odds and are actually made of copper. Now, let's break down the design of this coin. On the obverse side, you'll find the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, which has been a part of the penny since 1909. Designed by Victor D. Brenner, this image of Lincoln is one of the most recognizable in U.S. coin history. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll see the date, 1983, along with a mint mark if the coin was struck at the Denver, D, or San Francisco, S, mints. If there's no mint mark, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Flipping the coin over, we see the classic Lincoln Memorial design, which had been used on pennies since 1959. If you look closely, you'll notice a tiny engraving of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a small but important detail that adds to the artistry of this coin. So, what makes the 1983 penny so valuable? The answer lies in its rarity and condition. While millions of these pennies were minted, certain rare versions are worth significantly more than others. The most famous variety is the 1983 copper penny. A handful of these rare coins were mistakenly struck on leftover copper planchets from 1982 instead of the new zinc blanks. These are incredibly rare and highly sought after by collectors. Another factor that can drive up the value of a 1983 penny is its condition. Coins that have never been used in everyday transactions, known as uncirculated coins, are far more valuable than worn-out pennies. Even small scratches, discoloration, or damage can affect a coin's worth, so collectors are always looking for pristine examples. But here's where things get even more exciting. Some 1983 pennies have rare minting errors that make them even more valuable. One of the most famous errors is the 1983 double die reverse. This means the back of the coin was struck twice, causing a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering. If you happen to find one of these error coins, its value could be much higher than a regular 1983 penny. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you own a rare and well-preserved 1983 US penny, especially one with a rare minting error or made from copper instead of zinc, it could be worth $57,000. That's right, this little penny, which most people overlook, could be an absolute treasure. So, the next time you're sorting through your spare change or checking your coin collection, pay close attention to your 1983 pennies. You might just be holding a hidden fortune in your hands. On top 5, we're diving into a penny that could be hiding in your collection, wallet, or even a jar of spare change, the 1984 United States 1-cent coin. At first glance, it may seem like just another penny, but some rare versions of this coin have sold for staggering amounts. Stick around until the end because you won't believe how much certain 1984 pennies are worth today. To understand the value of this coin, let's take a quick journey back in time. By 1984, the U.S. Mint had fully switched to the new penny composition, 97.5% zinc with just a thin copper coating. This change had been made in 1982 to cut costs, as copper prices were rising. While millions of 1984 pennies were struck, only a few special ones turned out to be worth serious money. What makes them so rare? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Let's start with the design. On the obverse side, we have the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor D. Brenner. This design has been in use since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Below Lincoln's bust, you'll see the date, 1984, along with a mint mark if it was struck at the Denver, D, or San Francisco, mints. If there's no mint mark, that means it came from the Philadelphia Mint. Turn the coin over, and you'll find the iconic Lincoln Memorial. This reverse design, introduced in 1959, replaced the earlier wheat penny design. If you look closely, you'll notice a tiny engraving of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a remarkable detail that many people don't realize is there. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1984 penny so valuable. The key lies in its rarity and condition. While millions of these pennies were produced, only a select few have unique features that make them extremely valuable. One of the most famous is the 1984 double-ear Lincoln penny. This rare error coin features a noticeable doubling on Lincoln's ear, making it highly sought after by collectors. If you have one of these error pennies, you could be holding a small fortune. Another factor that can make a 1984 penny valuable is its condition. Coins that have never been circulated, meaning they have no scratches, marks, or signs of wear, are worth much more than those that have been used in everyday transactions. Collectors pay top dollar for coins in flawless condition, so if you find a 1984 penny that looks brand new, you might want to have it checked by an expert. But there's more. Some 1984 pennies also have other minting errors, like off-center strikes, die cracks, or even being struck on the wrong type of metal. These rare errors make certain pennies incredibly valuable to collectors, and their prices can skyrocket at auctions. Now, for the moment you've been waiting for. If you own a rare and well-preserved 1984 US penny, especially one with a double ear error or another unique minting mistake, it could be worth $55,000. That's right, this tiny penny, which most people overlook, could be a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you come across an old penny, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look. You might be holding a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting discovery. Thanks for watching, and happy collecting!